Very, very interesting fight.
Yeah.
One of my favorite fights is James Toney, Mike McCallum. What was that?
They
1990.
fought what? They fought 3 times. Didn't how many times they fought? Like 3?
But the first fight was a draw. I thought Mike McCallum,
Yeah.
but yeah, excellent, excellent fight. I'll say to any young kid, you want to learn boxing, go watch it. There's a couple fights that I'll say go watch. If you really want to learn boxing, I would say, what was it? July '87, Mike McCallum versus Donald Curry. Even though Mike McCallum knocks him out, but the way they two just each other, and it was like a chess match. That, what I'll say, like November 1979, Sugar Ray Leonard Wilfred Benitez.
Oh yeah.
Yes,
that's one of my father's favorite fights. He loves that fight.
Why your dad knows boxing is rubbed off on you. Alhamdulillah, right?
Yeah, I mean he loves that fight. He the one who turned me on to watching it. It was, and Benitez was young in that fight too.
Yeah, Benitez was bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he was.
Benitez. I was speaking about Benitez earlier today to Joshua Boatsi, the light heavyweight. Wilfred Benitez was absolutely superb. You know what I mean? 17 when he beat Cervantes. Don't muck around with that guy. That guy was raw.
Yeah, yeah.
And could slip a punch by millimeters.
And he had power. He could punch.
Yeah, man. When he knocks out Morris Hope, and Morris from the UK, but originally from Antigua, but he's from the UK, and he knocks out Morris Hope. I think that was in like the 11th or 12th round. He knocked him. It was a horrible knockout. He hits him with a right hand. Boom. We thought Morris Hope was dead.
Yep. He was the truth, man. That's one of my father's favorite fighters. So, come on, name some more young boxers coming up. What other than the ones you name a couple more they should watch to really, really get the feel of boxing. You know what I mean?
Roberto Duran, Davey Moore.
Oh, he beat at 154. If it was right, he beat the dog mess out of Davey Moore.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That was
Yeah. I think he stopped him in the 9th. He beat the hell out of him. You know what's one of my favorites too? James Toney and Ivan Barkley. I love that fight.
You know what? It's weird that it's like when I was doing the boxing promotions, the gymnasium where my office was in was the Real Fight Club. And there was an old guy in there, Alan Lacey, old white dude. He was like a family member to me. I've known him since I've been a kid. He always used to. And he was like, that's my favorite fight. And for the purists, if you want to watch a fight for purists, that's the fight to watch. Yep, totally agree with you. You know what I mean? Big Bobster. See this dude on here? He's an army dude, but he's like one of the biggest supporters of everything that we do. And like Larry Holmes, Ken Norton.
Oh my God, round 13 and 14. Lord, listen.
Right.
Oh yeah.
We had a famous commentator, man, called Reg Guttridge. He's passed away now, but I mean, it's kind of cool because I got to work with Reg Guttridge. I called fights with Reg Guttridge. Reg Guttridge, one of the greatest to ever do it, as a iconic. And Reg Guttridge did a commentary for that. And in the last 2 rounds, he barely said anything because he was just drawn in to how the fight was. That he did. Right. Incredible fight. There's you know, when you think about great fights, there's loads of great fights. But like on the UK front, was Chris Eubank, Nigel Benn, and that was for and that was incredible because you have to remember Nigel Benn at that time was on a tyrannical reign. It was like April of 1990. He destroys Doug Dewitt. After Doug Dewitt, he fights Iron Barkley, right? And nobody's ever beaten up Barkley in quicker time.
Yeah, Barkley, man. Barkley can punch.
Right. Barkley in 1 round. No one ain't done it to Barkley. Right? Tommy Hearns couldn't do it to Iron Barkley. Twice couldn't do it to him.
Nope.
Even though James Toney gave a masterclass, absolute masterclass, right? But nobody could. Nigel Benn went and done him in 1 round. Knocked him down 3 times, and Carlos Padilla was the referee. Carlos Padilla had to stop the fight. Nigel's my guy. Seriously. But him and Chris Eubank, the first fight that they had, November of 1990, was like, wow. Because at the time in the UK, and remember the UK's population is, what, 68 million?
Mm.
18 million people tuned in to watch that fight on a Sunday evening.
Wow.
Yeah.
What about Nigel Benn and Gerald McCullough?
Gerald McClellan, you know what? That was
I was hurt, man.
Yeah. that fight, what was that? That was February 95, that fight was. Sad.
Very. Because a lot of people thought it should have been over when he knocked him out the ring.
It should have been, you know?
Yeah.
But they had a, you know what? It was an incompetent referee because they had some. It was useless. Because Gerald had Nigel Benn and he kept on interacting and it kind of saved Nigel Benn, right? I'm not gonna know that. But Nigel Benn was a warrior because how he bit down his gumshoe to come back, and it's sad because that was a great fight, but because of what happened in the fight,
I know
they don't talk about it.
I know
that fight, that was a badass fight. That was a bad. Or similarly, Michael Watson, Chris Eubank was that September of '91. Same thing happened. Chris Eubank was getting beaten from pillar to post. He was in a rematch, and he just bit down on his gumshoe. But Michael Watson came at him and knocked him over in the 11th round with an overhand right. Eubank goes down, not because the punch was that bad, because he was absolutely exhausted. He gets up, and Eubank throws a right uppercut, something that he must have practiced forever on a punch bag, but never thrown it off in a fight. Threw this right uppercut, and it hits Michael Watson. Michael Watson goes over. Michael Watson gets up. He's saved by the bell. He goes back to his corner. He's exhausted. And Chris Eubank is exacerbated himself. And Eubank comes out, throws a little flurry in the 12th, and they stop the fight. And then after the fight, Chris Eubank says that I want him tested. He's too strong. I want him tested. Thinking, and at this time, Michael Watson collapses, and he's in a coma for like 2 something. And yeah, and because of how the fight ended, people don't talk about the fight. But since I go Google Chris Eubank, Michael Watson,
I'm Googling it right now.
that fight is the fight 2, the second fight. That fight is a badass fight.
You know, it was one of my favorites too. My father's too. Weaver and John Tate.
Woo!
Let me tell you something. John Tate won every single round.
Tate.
Listen, he knocked him out, and I think was it the 15th?
Yep.
The last round, he knocked him out. Cold. He was asleep.
Yeah. 980 on the undercard of Sugar versus Dayboy Green.
Wow. Look at you. You and my father need to talk.
Right? And yeah, that was an incredible. You know what? It's sad because Mike Weaver had an Adonis body. You know that? That Kirk was cut. And I don't know how well he did in the game, because like he had a checkered record at the time when he went in to fight John Tate, and there was a lot of hype behind John Tate, thinking that he's going to be something so big and all the rest of it, and like he didn't really amount to anything. Like, but that's a really good fight.
Yeah,
but those are the days. As long as I like old time fights, especially the American old time fights. When Jimmy Lennon Jr. would, before the fights would happen, he'd sing the national anthem. And Senior, not Junior, the dad. He would sing. And there's something about the American national anthem, even though to hell with the flag, right? but see, come on, man. You know what I mean? But there was something beautiful about listening to the national anthem just before the fights, because that's what you knew, right? After this, we're gonna get the fight.
We're gonna get the fight.
Yeah. And so being a kid, and you'd get like the big fights that would come on closed circuit. When you heard the national anthem, and at the time when I'm talking like late 70s, early 80s. You get the Pointer Sisters singing the national anthem.
Wow, Pointer Sisters.
Right. They were bad. They'd tear it up. Who was it who sang one of the best ever renditions that I heard of the national anthem? Was that, I think it was September 1987, when Tommy Hearns bidded to become the first man to win four world titles at 4 different weights.
Mm-hmm.
Fights One Rodan. One Rodan died last year. One Rodan was one of the toughest guys you could ever
Oh,
be.
he died last year? Oh, wow.
One Rodan was from Argentina. One Rodan famously knocked down Marvin Hagler in the first round of their fight. I think their fight was in 1983. 1983. Nah, man. She just won world title the other day. There were some very good fighters out there, so it'd be who are female. And before, I used to get kind of upset by looking at female boxing because it would be mismatched fights. Now it's not mismatched. Now we're showing like, because the female fighters have been mixing with, and they've gone through the ranks of being amateurs but being around the men, because that's it. Savannah Marshall.
Right. Okay, I gotta look her up. Savannah Marshall.
No, don't get twisted with this girl. Savannah, she is the real. She beat Kalusha in the amateurs.
She did?
And she beat her in the amateurs. She's a very tall girl with long arms. And
Andre Ward is special.
100%, I believe that he'll beat Canelo, because he'll have too much movement and he knows more tricks than Canelo.
He reminds me of B-Hop. You cannot tell me Andre Ward didn't watch a lot of B-Hop. I know he watched a lot of B-Hop.
Of course he did. Because
you can see it.
I remember what fight it was. No, it was after the Carl Froch fight. And beat in the ring, and he said, well, forget about fighting you. I ain't never going to fight you.
I remember that.
Right. So, yeah, he does. The thing with Andre Ward reminds me of a 50s fighter.
Yeah.
Right. The 50s fighter. I love Andre Ward. And not only that, I met him quite a few times. Like when he came to the UK, we chopped it up, talk about boxing history. I like.
So he's a good dude too. I saw him a couple times at fights and stuff. He always ready to speak and talk to fans and everything. So
he's a good guy, man. He's a good guy.
But he's another one who stays in shape.
Yeah, well, he's gonna have to.
Who stays in the gym. That's why, you look at when Floyd was out the ring for 21 months, he was always in the gym, so you couldn't even tell when he came back. You couldn't even tell.
Regardless, when he came back to fight Marquez, right? That was a wow performance.
Mm-hmm.
That was a wow.
And Marquez called him out, by the way.
I know. Because I remember they did the tour to build the fight in the UK. And because they sold it on pay-per-view. And that performance was a wow performance, because you were so long. And to come like that.
Against, come on now, Marquez is the truth. He's the truth.
Yeah, Marquez.
Let me tell you, that first Pacquiao fight, to get dropped 3 times and come back and fight to a draw, that's why I love the 4th fight, because he knew in his mind, the judges, he felt like he only had the 1 loss, and then he just retired.
Who? Yeah, you know what? At that time, I think Nassim Hamed couldn't be world champion at the time. None of those guys, they just said we swerve him. But it's kind of weird, like all those other guys, well, Chris Eubank and Nigel Benn have gone down in history because they won world titles. But I don't think those two, peak Harold Graham, I don't think those two would have beaten Harold Graham.
But yeah, my father was the one who told me to watch him and Jackson, to watch the knockout. And I watched the fight, and I was, woo!